Okay, so yesterday in the last lecture I told you that I will be starting the Redux, but Redux needs few more basic concepts to understand. So I'll be doing little more concept on the React and then I'll start the Redux. And today we will go with the lists. So this list or display of items in component. So this is what I will be taking. There are few basic concepts are still remaining before we really jump to the Redux. So I'll complete that list or display items in the component today. Okay, someone is asking me the link. 1 second. One second. Okay, so we'll go to the list or display item today. Let me give the link to okay, 1 second. Okay, so let's start with the let's focus on the list and see how we can do this list. Okay, let me go through our project structure. This is the layout, this is the pages. I will create a new folder called examples, and in the examples I'll create a new file, example underscore 001 dot jsx. I will create one of the component. So this example I'll create, I'll make this as a capital letter. All the components should be of capital letter. You cannot use a small letter to make the component. This is my way of creating the component. I create the constant, component name, and the arrow function, and here we get the return statement. So now I will call this in my app.js. So in the app.js, I will call import example from components examples and example1. So I call the example and then I'll create a route for this example. Let's create the route. So I created one route for my example. This is the example and I created one route for the example. Let's go through and see on the browser. Okay, so I am in the route now. Let's close this app.js and in the example, hello world, let's use this one. Okay, so I'm in the correct page. Let's put the I'll see if you see the page is little bit touching on the left side. I want some margin kind of thing. So let me go to app.js. Okay, I didn't create the div tag here. So here only I will put one class name. Class name equal to container to make some spacing on the page. Still we don't have the spacing. Okay, otherwise I'll give one style for temporary. Style equal to margin 20 pixel. Okay, so now I get some margin here. Okay, so what we are going to do, whenever we build an application, there is always a view page where we display the items on the page. So this is what we are going to build. That is, if we have something, some variable or some array or some list, we how to display that list on in the React. So for example, I'll take first list as a constant people equal to, I'll make one array called as, for example, John, Bob, and Fred. So I created one variable called people, and I want to display that variable on the page. List of items. So I want to display these people in this page. So how can we achieve that? So first thing is I can directly, if I directly put people here and display what happened on the browser. So you will see all John, Bob, and Fred is appear here, but we cannot really style both, and we cannot make this to another line but by just typing an array here in this page. So we should try to manipulate it to some different way. But what if I create another variable, constant item equal to 1. So if I want to display this item, I'll display like this, and I can see item here 1 is coming here. So what if I create an object? What will happen? Let's create an object. I'll say name equal to John, last name is equal to Bob. So if I display this object here, what will happen? Let's see. So you will see that objects, it gives error when I put objects. Whereas when I put a single item, it is okay. When I use array, it is okay. But with object, it does not allow. So never ever display this object in this page like this. So we need to go with a key and name like object.name, then it will work. So objects directly cannot be written in the this React component. So we have to specify which key I want to display it. Okay, so what my task is now to display these people in this page. So let's say if I create a UL item and I want to display in UL item like li. Okay, so it will be li, and in li I want each one to appear here like this, John, and in the second one I want to appear like this, Bob, and third one I want to appear this Fred on the page. So right now I'm putting hard-coded value which is coming John and Bob, but let's make it dynamic so that it should fetch from these people. And this is a live example. Many times we from the database we get in this format and we have to display this in the page. So let's try to do how to do it. So whenever we want to do something variable or JavaScript part, we will start with the curly bracket. Now here inside the curly bracket, I have to use this people variable. So I have to check whether people variable exists or not. So if I will put people is there or not. So if I put people, it will check if people is already existing or not. And if it is existing, I will use and an ampersand operator. And then here I will write anything. Maybe I can say li John. So it will check if the people variable exists, and if it exists, then it will display the John here. So the thing is that we have to first check it kind of thing, and then this. Tomorrow, if this people is null, for example, it is null, then we don't want to display it. Okay, so if this people is coming as a null, then I don't want to display this John in the page. So now nothing is coming because I made the people null. And now if I change this to back to the array, then the people variable exists, and when people variable exists, I want to display something. So let's display John is coming because people variable exists. It is an object, it is an array. So since something is there in the people, so I'm able to display this John. But now I want to loop through each one, and we have to display all these three in different li. So how to loop through it is I have to say people dot map. So we have to use always a map here in React when we have to display the array or object kind of thing. So people dot map, I will say arrow function inside the map. So I created a map and then I put the arrow function inside this map inside this map function. So in the arrow function we will get two parameters. One will get item, that is each item 1, 2 and 3. First time it will get John, second time it will get Bob, third time it will get Fred. So we'll get item and then we'll also get index. So in the first case I'll get 0, second case I'll get 1, third case I'll get 2. And in the rectangular bracket we have to return something. What we have to return? We have to return the element which we want to build. For example, li tag. In the li tag, I will show you what item is coming and what index is coming. We can also write the console.log here to see what is coming. So I'm just checking in the console.log also, and I'm returning also with the item, which is item is this, and index is this. So item will be, first time it will be John, second time it will be Bob, third time it will be Fred. So item will be displayed, index will be 0, 1, 2. So let's see how it looks in the browser. So when I refresh the page, you will see item is John, Bob and Fred. Here it's item is John, index is 0. Item is Bob, index is 1. Item is Fred, index is 2. So what we see all the items we are looping through, but we are getting one warning, and we'll see how to fix that. So now let's try to fix this warning. So whenever we use map in the React, and we have this in element, HTML element, we can print the HTML element. One second. Okay, so we can see that we can look through each one and we can display whatever way we want to display it. But we always get the error if we don't put some kind of key property here, and this key should be the unique property. So here I can also put item because all names are different, so I can put key as item. Let's see now how it looks. So now if I refresh the page, I don't see that warning because all three are different and we should have unique key. For example, if we have one more similar key like Bob, and then it will be a problem. So it will again give this error warning because it should be the non-unique keys. And if right now I see non-unique key, but it should be the unique. So this item does not work because we have the duplicate names. So instead of the item, I can use index. So if I use index, all the warning will go away and we see all the items are appearing here correctly. So let's remove this console.log. We don't need it. Let's remove this index and let's delete this item. And we are displaying the item in the list: John, Bob, Fred, and Book. So this is the way we we take the array and we display the array here. If you go with the practical life, the practical real life projects, this array is generally consists of object like this. So this is the practical way of using this array. So whenever you get something from the database, it will be like in this format. There will be array and there will be object of each one. So for example, name, here will be the John, and in the second case it will be name will be, let's say, Bob, and in the third case, let's say, it will be Fred. We may get more parameter like age, last name, first name, address, and many things from the database which we can use if we want. So right now I got 3. Now instead of item, I can say item.name, because each item will be this object and we want to display this part. So I will say item.name, and then we'll see item.name is coming here. Now, instead of this li thing, I can also pass another component, subcomponent, which I have built myself. For example, I will build one component called as constant person equal to, so maybe it will take item, and then I will display here like return. It will be like React format only. This I'll say div. This person's name is item.name. So I created the person. Now instead of this li tag, maybe I'll put li tag here. So instead of li tag, I can also call person, and then I'll delete this part and I'll pass parameter item equal to item. So this item is passed as a props to this person component, and this person component is created here. I can create this person component in another page also, but right now, for example, I created in the same page and I'm displaying this for each one. So if I'm passing person, I also have to pass key here and the parameter which I want to display, that is the item. And if we see that, so the person name is not coming correctly, it's not coming. Let's check why. So I'm sending this item here, and I am okay. It should not go here as a it should go as a props, and in the props I will say props.item.name. So generally the React world does not take it like a normal function, it takes as a props, and inside the props we'll get the item variable, and inside the item variable I'll get the name. So this is how we do it in React. Now I'm getting correctly John, Bob, and Fred. So initially when I put item, it didn't work because it's not the normal function, it's a React. So React always take the props, and item will be inside the props. So this is how we create the sub component here and call it in the map pod. Let me see another example. Okay, yeah, this is what I had to explain about the list item. So if we go with the practical live example, for example, I'll go one of the URL. So this is the website which I built in my last class, because in 2017 I built a project with the student, and this is the project which I built with them. This whole thing I built in the class in 2017. So it is kind of Netflix, but with some differences, because I have to take all the videos from the YouTube, and that's the reason I build it little bit in my format. I can click and I can see the video, YouTube video here only. Okay, so this was the end. I can put n number of categories like drama, this one, and I can add the videos also. I can manage the list also. So this is what I okay manage list. Okay, let's go to manage list, and I can add videos. Here is a video, and if I put the YouTube URL here, for example, so I can put one of the link, for example. Let me check one of the link. Okay, so let me take one of the link. I will take this ID. So I can put the URL or ID. Once I put URL ID, okay, let me put another one. Okay, so this is something I think is not fetching. Maybe the API is not valid now, which I built in last 2017 for showing the demo. So the API, what API does, when I put ID, it was able to take thumbnail, title, and all. So maybe the API is expired, so I'm not getting into the details. So the one which, when I was talking about this list, which we built just now, this list kind of thing. So this is practically used in this project like this. It is used in all the projects, but in this project, I will show you where it is used. Okay, so these items are displayed, you see, left to right. So this is all is done using this map function, which I have used here. So in all the projects, I have used this map function to display the list of the items. This is the practical use of this map function. So to refresh this map function, what we did, we have an array and it has object. Generally, this is the practical case. All the backend database gives this format. So we have the array, and each array has different objects, and this object has to be looped. So we use this array variable, and then I use the map function, and inside the map I can go through each item with the index, and I keep the key as index and item as the item. So each item will be this part only. First time it will be this time, second time loop will be this time, and third loop will be this time. And with each one I display this person's name is John, Bob, and Fred. So whenever we will be building the projects, this part is always we will use this part. So this is very important to display, how to display the array in the React pages. And we can build different components which we will call in this map, because sometimes this component is too big. This component is too big, so we cannot put this whole HTML here. Instead of putting whole HTML here, we will build another component and then call that component here to show to the user. So this is all about the displaying. This is called the list. It's called like list and keys, because we have the list of these items and we have the key. So this is called list and keys. Let me put it here. It's called list and keys. And that is what we did. So I will put also some example here. Okay, so example is in this one. I will not put example here. Okay, that's it. So now we'll move to another one, that is problems, which I told you I will be showing the problem. So let's empty this. Yesterday we did this problem of reverse the string. We will go through that again, that reverse of the string, with one more method, and that method is called the reduce method. It's called the reduce method. So we'll be doing reduce method today now to understand how to do that same problem which we did yesterday using the reduce one. So if you have done reduce, then it's good. But if you have not done reduce, so you will understand how the reduce work. So basically the reduce function of JavaScript works on arrays. So whenever we have array, we can use the reduce to accomplish our task. Now what is the syntax of array? Syntax of reduce. Reduce work like this. We have array and we'll call the reduce, and inside the reduce we will call the arrow function, and we will also pass one more parameter called as initial value. So this is the syntax of the reduce. We have the array and we have the arrow function and we have the initial value. We will be talking a lot about the reduce, and this whole week will go on the reduce only. There are a lot of things to be understood to understand this reduce property. So we have the array.reduce and we have the initial value in the end. And in the reduce we get two parameters. One is called accumulator and one is called current value. Okay, so and we have to return in this function, we have to return something. We have to return something. Whatever we return something will go in the accumulator. And then the second loop occur. When the second loop occur, whatever we return something, it will again go to accumulator. Then the third loop occur. Whenever the third loop occur, whatever we return, it will be returned to accumulator. It is not clear right now what I am trying to say, but with example, it will be cleared. So right now, since I just put the syntax word, it's not defined, so it's giving this error. But when we see some example, you will understand what I mean. So let's take one example. First example, I create one array called as with having 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have this array. Now I have to go through all these elements 1, 2, 3, and 4. There is one way I can use for loop and I can go to each one separately. But let's see how to do in the reducer. So I will create, let's say I will create one reduce element. I will say array.reduce. And then let's say I have to sum all these elements 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever elements are there, I have to sum all the elements. So I'll call the reduce, and in the reduce I will call arrow function. And in the arrow function, in the last, I have to pass the initial value. Let's say initial value I pass 0. Now inside this reduce, I will get two things. One is accumulator, one is current value. So initially accumulator will be 0 because we are passing accumulator as 0. So first time the accumulator will be 0 because we are passing initial value 0. And then current value will be 1 because in array it's 1. And I can say I will return accumulator plus current. So what I am doing, accumulator is 0, that is this 0, and I am adding it to the current value. What is the current value? Current value is 1. So return will be 1 because 0 plus 1 will be 1. So when it comes to the second time, the accumulator will be 1 because last time accumulator was written as 1, and the current will be the second. So each time if I do console log of current, current is nothing but each time which we are getting 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first time current will be 1, second time current will be 2, third time current will be 3, fourth time current will be 4. And accumulator will be first time 0 because initially I passed 0. Second time whatever I have returned it. What I have returned it? 0 plus 1. Third time I will return it. 1 is already there. 1 plus 2. This accumulator will be 1 from the previous one and the current will be 2 and I am returning 3 second time. And in the third time accumulator will be 3 because initially we got 3 and the current will be 3. So third time I am returning 6. Fourth time accumulator will be 6 and I am adding 4 to 8. So it will become 10. So finally the answer of this will be 10. Let's take what will be the accumulator each time. I will enter it. So you will see first time current is 1 because we have the current value 1, and since initial value is 0, accumulator will be 0, and when they return it, it will return 1 plus 0. Second time current will be the 2, that is this 2, and accumulator will be 1 because first time we did 1 plus 0 as 1, so accumulator is 1 initially, and then after the second loop is over, 2 plus 1 is added, it will become 3, and 3 plus 3 will be added, then it will become 6, 4 plus 6 is added, it will become 10. So this return is nothing but the new value of accumulator which comes in the next loop, and this current will be the current value. And finally, when we done with all the elements, this whole return will return whatever is whatever is the final value, it will return. So it will return 10. So this is how reduce work. Let's see few more examples of reduce. Okay, let me create new array. I'll directly create array here 10, 1, 2, 3, 4 dot reduce, and inside reduce I will create an arrow function, and here I will pass the initial value, for example 0. Same thing what we did previously. Right now I change the array only, and here I will get two values, one is accumulator and one is current, and here I will say return accumulator plus current. So here I'm getting 20 because 10 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and then we add all, it becomes 20. So this is, and same way, only I added one more element. What, sir? Ask something. You are saying only sir. Okay, let's take another example till someone asks question if you have. So let's take one example where I don't pass the initial value. So here previously you saw I passed the initial value 0. What happens if I don't pass initial value? So I'm just doing same thing, but I will not pass initial value. Okay, so I'll do console.log of current is current, accumulator is accumulator. So same thing I have written, but I'm not passing 0 here. So what will happen in this case? In this case, the default value become 1 and current will become 2, 3, 4 like this. So it will add 1 plus 2, it will add all, but the first accumulator value will be 1 and current value will start from the 2. So you will see current value is starting from the 2 and accumulator is starting from the first element which you are passing it. So same thing, It's always better to give the initial value, but if you don't give, then it will automatically take the initial value of the 1, and then rest will appear like this. My voice is not audible. Can you hear me? One second. Can you hear me? Can someone
Yes,
is saying?
yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, someone was saying my voice is not audible. Okay.
I think they haven't signed up at the mic and speaker.
Okay. So now, right now I took this as a number, but it can be object, it can be array, it can be anything. This inside element you see, it's a numeric, but it can be object, it can be array, it can be anything, and we can manipulate it to whatever way we want it. For example, I will start with some object. Let's say I have some object here. Okay, I have 3 objects, and here I will go with the reduce. And initial value I will give pass as a 0, and here I'll get accumulator. So initially accumulator will be 0 because I pass initial value as a 0, and here will be the current. And here let's say I have x age. Let's say I put age of 23, and this one will be age of 43. This one will be age of 12 years old. So in this case, I am passing an object in place of the numeric, and accumulator is initially 0. What will be the current value initially? First time. What will be the current value of first time? Whether it will be 23 or whether it will be this object.
Zero.
So
It will be object.
it will be object. So current will be this object. Second time the current will be this. Third time the current will be this.
Okay,
But
so
accumulator will be 0 first time. Okay. Now if I return accumulator plus current, is it right or wrong? It is wrong, because we are passing object. Current is the object. So since we have to add all the ages, putting the current is wrong. We should put something which we have to add up. So for here we have to add up age. So I will say current dot age. So in accumulator initially 0, then current dot age will be 23. Second time it will be 43. Third time it will be 12. So all age will be added, and final result will be written as 78. Okay, so this is the 78. Now let's take another example. We'll be doing a lot of examples on reduce. So this is the first day, but I'll be doing many examples tomorrow also, day after tomorrow also, and till I complete all the examples which I have. Okay, now I'm taking another example. I will pass initial value of this empty string. Now we are passing the string. Initially we were passing the numeric value. Here we are passing the string. So initial value is empty string, and here I will pass C, A, and T. So here I am passing CAT, and initial value is empty, and here I will say accumulator and current. So now tell me, what will be the first time the accumulator value will be when I start this?
C.
No, first time will be the empty, because initial value is empty. What will be the first time current value?
Okay, that's it.
C. That is the C.
C. C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I will return accumulator plus current. So the first time it will be the C, this is empty, this is C. Second time this will become C, and this will become A, so it will become CA. And third time this will become CA, and this is a T, so it will be cat. So if I enter it is going as a cat. Now let's take the same example with little twist. Instead of accumulator plus current, I will say current plus accumulator. So first time accumulator will be empty, current will be C, so I am returning the C. Second time current will be the A and accumulator will be C, so A is appended with the accumulator, so it will be AT, it will be AC. And third time current will be the T and accumulator will be AC, so it is actually the reverse, cat, and we are reversing TAC. So here this is nothing but we are reversing the string from cat to TAC. So the problem which we saw yesterday was the reverse. So I will use the same function, reverse string, by using the reduce function. Now here I will say, so this is a string and this reduce works on the array. So first thing is we have to convert string to array using the split. And so now this will become array, and each array will have the character separated like this, CAT. And then I will use the reduce on this, and reduce will have arrow function and the initial value. And inside the arrow function, I will write same thing. I will return current plus accumulator because I have to reverse it. So current will come appended to the accumulator. And then I return this whole thing, whatever has come in the end. So I will enter it. Now if I pass CAT, it will return tag. If I pass apple, it will return reverse of this. So the yesterday whatever reverse thing we did, this part is the reverse string using the reduce method. This is the one example of the reduce which we did today. There are many other examples of the reduce, and most of them are asked in the interview, which we will see tomorrow and day after tomorrow. This is the one example which is asked using the reduce, but there will be lot more which will be asked in interview about the reduce one. So we will be doing the reduce one tomorrow also. Let me create the JavaScript file, reverse string. Okay, I'll name it to 3. I'll create the function and then I'll call the reverse string. So one person is asking what is the difference between the reduce and map. So these are different things of the array and both works in the different way. In the map, we don't have the accumulator and current. It works little different way as we saw in this example how the map works. Map also loop through each element and then we can modify it and we can return it. And this way here in the reduce we get something accumulator which comes from the previous return. In map we don't get something from the previous return. So here we are getting something from the previous return. And finally we return the final value in this return. In this map, each element is returned separately. So that is the difference. Okay, so we will run this one, reverse string 3. So this is the third problem which we did, 1, 2, 3, and we'll do lot more on the reduce and other thing also in future. So this is about the JavaScript problem. This is about JavaScript. Now we will go with the third part of today, that is the object-oriented. Okay, object-oriented JavaScript, which I will start now. Okay, so that one will be, let me open the browser. Okay, let me clear this. So we will be doing now object-oriented. This object-oriented JavaScript has lot of practical applicability. Once you understand this, lot of your JavaScript problems will be solved. And in interview, this is mostly asked in very detail. And if you don't know, then you won't get any JavaScript job. So understanding of this object-oriented JavaScript is must. So we'll start with the first function. We will starting with the functions. Okay, so let's start. So what is a function? Let me put. So you can call function as functions allow you group together some code, give this code a name and reuse it later, addressing it by name. So function allow you to group. So let's say you have three statements: x equal to a, x, y equal to b, z equal to c, and you want to group this code together so that you want to call all these three lines of the code together at any moment. Then you will put it in the function and reuse it again and again. So for example, we have the function sum, and it takes the parameter, two parameter, and then I return. I have few statement here inside. For example, right now we can return one line also, but let's create a couple of lines. C equal to a plus b and return c. So this is one of the function. We have the two lines of the code here. We can have hundreds of lines in this inside one function. So if we don't create the function, we have to write these two lines every time we have to do the sum, or 100 lines of the code every time we have to do the same functionality. And to avoid that, we put it in the function and then call this sum function as many times as we want by changing the parameter which we want. So this is the reason we create this function. Otherwise, we have to write this whole code again and again, again and again. So here you will see we have the function statement. This is the function statement, function name. Of course, there are different ways to create function without this function name also, which we'll see in some time. And we have the name of the function. In this case, the name is the sum, and we have the parameter. And sometimes the function have parameter, and sometimes it does not have the parameter. It can have 0 or more arguments. This parameter is also called arguments. This should be comma separated. And this curly bracket, this is called the body of the function where we write all our statement. Right now I'm returning C, but many times it does not return anything. That is also fine because we want to run something, various lines of the code without returning anything. But here I have to return something. If I don't return anything, it will return undefined if I don't return any of this value. Function can return the single value. If you want to return more values, you can return array, or you can also return object. Then you can have multiple values. Otherwise, it will return a single value. Object is also single, but inside object, you can have multiple values, key value pair. Array is also a value, simple single value, but it can have multiple values in it. Now, how to call the function? We'll just call this function using this sum. and we'll pass different value in it. 3. So if I pass 2 value, it add both and return the third value here in it. So you have to define what parameter should go and what parameter should come out. So if you forget to put B, JavaScript will pass as undefined. So for example, you pass sum of A. The second will go as undefined if you forget to put any of the parameter. If you forget both, both will go as undefined. So for example, if you pass sum 2 only, so the B will go undefined, and undefined with plus 2 will go not a number. So we are getting not a number. So if you pass more parameters than required, here we need only 2 parameters. For example, if I pass, what if I pass sum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I pass more parameters, all these parameters will be ignored and only the 2 parameters which are needed will be taken. So it is taking 3, it is taking 1 and 2 only, it is ignoring all 3, 4, 5. So let's create another function, args. And here I will return arguments. Now let's see what arguments is. If I do console.log of arguments, so I created args and I passed return the arguments. Now we are seeing what are the arguments in this case. So for example, if I pass args and if I pass something like 1, 2, 3, 4, true, ninja. So I pass arg with this parameter. We are not mentioning any parameter here, but we are using arguments inside this function body. If I enter it, you will see this arguments is having at 0th value this 1, at 1 value it is 2, at 2 value it is 3, at 3 value it is 4, at 5 value 4 value it is true, and 5th value it is ninja. So all arguments are taken which are passed here as arguments with the array like format 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we don't know how many arguments will go, we can use these arguments and track with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as needed. So let's create one function with this argument. I will take 5 minutes more. That's it. This function I'll take and then we'll continue tomorrow. So for example, I'll create one more function, sum on steroids. I'll create the body for this var I arrays equal to 0. I create some variables, initial variables, and I say var num equal to arguments dot length. So whatever argument you will pass inside, I will make the length of it, and I'll just for now I will just return number, but tomorrow I'll modify this function to do some more stuff. Right now I'm just returning the number. So if I do sum on steroids 1, 2, so you will see returning 2 because 2 is passed. I am returning the length of how many parameters are passed. So if I pass 2, 1, 2, 3, I am returning 3. So right now I'm only returning the number of arguments we passed it. Tomorrow we'll do little more modification on this function. So this is all about the arguments and the function. We'll do a lot about the function, and one of the function is the closures, which we see soon in this week. And these closures are very important for interview. In every interview, they ask about the closures. This is what we'll do this week. Mostly of the functions and then go to the closures. And we'll also see one more important topic called as call, apply, and bind, which are also special functions, which are the methods in the functions, and they do something, which we'll see. So this is all about today.